chickadees, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a cozy story time. We're here in my recliner with these new cozy Halloween blankets that I bought. If you didn't watch my fall vlog, that's where I got them. It's raining outside. It's a thunderstorm and I'm vibing. I am so cozy. It's nice and warm, and I mean, I have a bunch of like studio lighting on me right now, but out in the living room, all of my candles are lit. Well, okay, fake candles. I'm not like, there's no unsupervised fire, guys. It's okay. Anyways, today we're going to talk about spirituality, because my journey with spirituality has been really up and down. It's been really crazy. And I feel like people rarely share the crazy parts of their journey. It's not something that everybody wants to share, and that's totally fine. I'm totally fine with sharing all of the dark, nitty-gritty, horrible things that I went through in terms of, you know, my spirituality and my beliefs. So we're going to get into it today. The goal of me sharing this is to air out my dirty laundry, but but also because I want people to relate. I want people to know that you're not alone. If you're going through a shit time with your spirituality, same. Not right now. I'm fine right now, but like I've been there a lot and it sucks. So I understand. If you're feeling confused, if you're feeling lost, or if you're feeling really good, like let's just vibe. Let's talk about spirituality. So this is my journey. So I've always been a little bit woo-woo. Even from like when I was a kid, I would like build fairy houses. I was very into like the mystical, magical side of life. I used to play this game with my friends, or well, one friend in particular, called Magic Worlds. And we would like go into a trance or like be able to move into like different magic worlds. And we were like different personas. We had a guardian and like very imaginative. I was a very imaginative kid, and being homeschooled, I was allowed to do that. Like I was given the space to like create and just go wander and like be in my fucking world all I wanted. So I was able to thrive in that. When I was about 11 or 12, I got super into witchcraft because my mom was one of her friends was a shaman. And I remember staying up until like 6 a.m, redecorating my entire room, trying to make it look as witchy as possible to like match the aesthetic of her house, the shaman's house. I was so intrigued and I wanted everything to be so witchy and like amazing and like just the vibe. Like I wanted the vibe. It was really hard for me to do because prior to that, it was like all American Girl dolls, Barbies, Breyer horses, fucking Bratz. Like I was a doll's girl. So switching gears into like a witchcraft room it was difficult to do, but I pulled some of it off. A little. But yeah, I was dabbling into witchcraft, you know, getting into herbs and spells and reading books about paganism and things like that. And in fact, like that friend that I played Magic Worlds with, she and I were both super into witchcraft. We both did the same thing to our rooms. But one time, like we would look on the internet and like Google witchcraft spells, and then we would like do some to like speed up time to like the time that we were going to hang out together, or like change the color of our eyes. And one time we found a spell to get rid of a mole, and she had one on her lip or something. I don't know. It was on her face somewhere. I think it was her lip. And we like took this little pea and we put a spell on it. I don't remember the spell, but we buried it in the ground, and then the next day her mole was gone. Like literally it was gone. It fell off somewhere. We couldn't find it, but it was gone off of her face. We were shocked and we were like, we are the most powerful witches ever. Like our little minds were blown. Yeah, that was fun. That was crazy. But that was like my first like moment where I was like, holy shit, this is real. Like, this isn't just like something that people are into. These are like real things that people can do to like alter life, like alter our experiences. And I thought that was so cool. Okay, something's in my eye. Unfortunately, like most of my story times include, I did hit a moment of addiction in my life. By the time I was 16, I was totally gripped by addiction, and I lost all interest in spirituality and connection to like the universe or witchcraft or anything like that. I was very much about impressing boys and getting drunk and smoking weed and all the things. So I wasn't interested in spirituality. But as I turned 20 and I got sober, I re-entered that realm because in AA, you are taught to believe in a higher power. They refer to it as a God, or they just say God, just because it's a simple term, which I think is so weird because so many people have trauma with that word, or like have like a certain thing that they think about with that word. Why not just like lean into a more, anyways, whatever. But yeah, so we were taught to believe in a higher power to help us stay sober. Like, we couldn't do it on our own, so we had to believe in something bigger. And so I did. I created a whole belief system around a higher power, and that it worked. It truly did work. But I mean, I wasn't like super spiritual. It was just that I just believed in that because that's what I was told to believe, and it was going to help me stay sober. So I have to do it. Like, it was like a life or death kind of situation, not like a, I believe in this and I'm going to devote my beliefs to this. So yeah, it was a little bit weird. I would say maybe I was a little bit agnostic, if anything. I didn't really understand what I believed. I just knew that there was something there. So when I was 22, I got super into the law of attraction with one of my really good friends, and I started smoking weed again. I quit my like big girl job to go work for myself and drive for Lyft. That did not work out, but I was like super into the law of attraction, and I went down that rabbit hole, like Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor. Eventually I found Abraham Hicks, or otherwise known as Esther Hicks, and that's what really made me spiral into some pretty radical beliefs within spirituality. If you were to ask me, they were radical. But also, this friend that I was like super into the law of attraction with, and we were like helping each other to like build and strengthen our belief systems, she also suggested that I started reading tarot, because she was like, I just have this feeling that you're going to be really good at it. And girl, I am. Thanks, friend. I don't want to name her just in case she doesn't want to be named, but yeah. So anyways, I started to read tarot and oracle and all the things, and I was vibing with like everything. I was like, this is the answer. Like, I finally cracked the code to the universe, and it's as simple as just creating the better life for myself. If I can dream it, if I can think it, then I can have it. And not to shit on anybody who does believe in law of attraction, I do too. I do. But as we will discuss in all of my extensive spiritual notes, I do not believe it in that way anymore. It is not so cut and dry, and it deserves more nuance. So my spirituality really consisted of meditation, affirmations, practicing the law of attraction, thinking positively, asking, believing, and receiving, all of those things. And I did dabble in some witchcraft here and there, but it wasn't like anything specific. It was just like, if I wanted to create something, or like wanted to like cast a spell, then I would do so, but it wasn't like anything intense. And in this time, I did learn about limiting beliefs, which I think can be used in a toxic way. I think the term limiting beliefs, depending on how you approach it, can be very toxic and dismissive to a lot of different things: class, your mental health, what your physical abilities, like those types of things. So I mean, I learned about it though, and I learned about it from this toxic Christian guy, but I learned about it. Eventually, I started to lean into the fact that I have limiting beliefs and I need to rework my subconscious so that I can have abundance in my life, so that I can create the life that I desire. And so I started like writing down like, you know, what my beliefs are, and I tried to get to the root of them. And I was so naive about it because I didn't understand, first of all, that I was traumatized. I knew that I had like some trauma, but I didn't understand to the extent of what I had gone through. And so there was no way for me to actually like rework any of my limiting beliefs because I couldn't find the root of them. But I thought I did. And I thought that I was like doing all this work, and it was such surface level work that, you know, it was good for what it was, but like, it wasn't enough. It wasn't going to do what I wanted it to do. So I was super into the law of attraction and super into Abraham Hicks, like obsessed. And if you don't know who Abraham Hicks is, it's this woman named Esther Hicks. Abraham is her higher self, and she channels that being to give people guidance. She's a spiritual leader of sorts. I don't personally recommend following any specific leader when it comes to spirituality. I think that spirituality is such a personal experience, and you need to do what's best for you and not listen to the exact play-by-play of what has worked for somebody else. But that's my own 2 cents. Anyways, I was super into her and super into what her higher self had to say. And like a true Virgo queen, I became obsessive, and like I needed to be just as good at creating as she was. I wanted to be just as successful. So I had this hyperfixation on the law of attraction and creating everything. Like literally my walls were covered in post-it notes of affirmations and like things that I needed to like repeat every single day, or else I wasn't doing enough. Like this was like the start of my spiritual psychosis, or like leaning into more intense rhythms and practices within my spirituality that were not healthy. And like I've mentioned before, my spiritual psychosis, honestly, it wasn't that intense or bad. It was more so just disruptive for my mental health. It wasn't like I was doing anything fucking crazy and fucked up. It was like my OCD had latched onto a hyperfixation and wouldn't let go, and it was all I could think about every day, all the time, and everything meant something, and it was horrible, like draining the life out of me. I was exhausted trying to figure out, like, what does this leaf on the ground mean? What is this license plate that says 2W3XY? Like, what does that mean? Oh my God, did my spirit, like, girl, I was obsessed. So while I was like riding this high of being a spiritual master and creator, I did get a job at a metaphysical shop, and I was vibing. I was like on cloud 9. I was so happy with the way that my life was starting to progress. I was like, this is where I'm starting to see change. I'm really making some changes now. And let me tell you, that did not last very long. Like I burnt out so quickly with that. And if you're at a point in your spiritual journey where you're faking it to make it, let me just save you a whole lot of fucking time and energy. It doesn't work. It will not work sustainably. You can fake it to make it in certain aspects and areas of your life, but when it comes to spirituality and creating the life that you desire, it does not work. You can't do that. You have to get to the root of your issues and just cut the shit now, start healing and doing the shadow work and trauma processing so that you can have the life that you desire, because you are worthy of that. You don't have to think positively to get there. So like I said, I burnt out completely from that energy, and I got really fucking depressed. All of that energy that I was exerting into being this best, high vibrational, positive, amazing, perfect version of myself turned inwards into an eating disorder. And all of that pain that I was suppressing and pushing down for the sake of thinking positive or, you know, being the version of myself that I wanted to be, it caught up to me, and it didn't just go nowhere. It went into me, and my body was in so much pain, and my mental health was wrecked. I hated myself. My eating disorder got super out of hand. It was super intense for a really long time, and nobody helped. Like, people knew. I openly talked about it, and nobody did anything. They would encourage me. They were like, "Oh my God, look at you, skinny, skinny." Like, I don't know, but all of that, it really fucking sucked, and I felt so alone. And in that process, I really started to question, like, well, okay, I've just completely lost this momentum. What do I even believe in? Like, I don't really know if I believe in what I have been preaching of, like, thinking positively will get you X, Y, and Z, because obviously I'm a shit fucking person. Like, I'm in this shit fucking spot in my life, and it's never going to get better. I was spiraling daily. So eventually I left the job at the metaphysical shop, and I did start to eat more and heal my eating disorder, but I never got to the root issue of why it developed in the first place. Like, I just totally skipped past that part, and I went from one extreme to the next and started claiming myself to be a fat activist. Like, I was super into like the fat lifestyle, and like totally just liberating myself of all eating disorder thoughts of like needing to be skinny. But it wasn't about being skinny. It was about the control and like the need to perform that was getting to me. And I just totally skipped over all of that and was like, well, it was just about being skinny, so I'm gonna be fat now. But in this process, I did start reading tarot and oracle full-time on TikTok, and eventually I did burn out on that. I ran myself into the ground because I wasn't pouring back into my energy, and you know, my spiritual beliefs were still a little bit like weird, and I did believe still a lot of like because I was still in spiritual psychosis. Like, I still like everything meant something, and it wasn't like I didn't believe. Like, when I had that deconstructed moment where I was like, well, obviously what I have believed for a while is not the truth. I was like, so I'm doing something wrong. I'm not doing it good enough, or I'm not approaching it in the right way, which was kind of right, but I wasn't thinking it in the way that I do now. And so I had all of this like crazy energy. And again, like everything was assigned to me, everything was meant something, and I just needed to try harder to decode these messages so that I could find the missing puzzle pieces to like fix my life and fix my relationship with money and myself and abundance and whatever. Like, I still was cray cray. So I stopped doing readings and I really struggled. I slowly but surely came out of my spiritual psychosis, but it wasn't like a healthy, like, okay, I'm awake now, like I don't need to think everything's a sign. It was like a big plop out of it, and it like I just fell out. Like, everything left. I didn't believe in shit. I was incredibly depressed and devastated, and I was fucking pissed at the universe because I felt that I was being punished, tested, or denied of, you know, what I wanted. And it wasn't that like I wasn't doing enough. It was that the universe was unrealistically expecting all of this stuff from me that I was trying so hard to give, but I wasn't enough. And hey, CPTSD, that's exactly where that came from. Like, the universe does not work like that. And the reason I believe that is because I'm fucking traumatized. Like, so as I exited spiritual psychosis, I entered my dark night of the soul. And I was in that state for 2 years, maybe a little bit more. I started to feel better-ish after about 2 years of being in my dark night of the soul, but I mean, it wasn't like great. I was completely devastated, so lost. And there was a big portion of my life at this time that I don't really want to talk about, but I was going through something that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And the struggle that I felt was so incredibly tolling that I was like, what is the point in anything? Like, I genuinely don't want to live. I do not want to exist in this world. And the pain that I felt every single day was insurmountable. If you're going through a dark night of the soul, my heart goes out to you so much. Like, I love you. I see you. You are going to get through this. I'm so sorry that you're struggling. There's nothing that you can do to speed that up. There's nothing. And all you can do is be present with where you're at right now. Ride the waves that do come, because it's not all bad, but most of it is. And that's just the way that it is. But it won't last forever. I promise you, it will not last forever. But yeah, I was just so lost and confused, and I felt anger to my core. I was just angry all the time. And eventually I just couldn't feel anymore. Like, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't exert all of this care into my experience. Like, I have to do something. And so I cut off. Like, I started dissociating. There's like a good, at least a year where it truly felt like I was just watching my life like it was a movie or something. Like, I was not the one living it. And I feel like it's because my brain was just trying to protect me, and keep me alive. And like, I'm a little bit emotional right now because I feel like that was such a horrifically dark time where, like, I had gotten married to the love of my life, but I barely remember that time, or like what I was experiencing. I couldn't feel connected to any of it because I was so devastated. I was so lost and disconnected and traumatized and unhealed from like everything that I was going through. And I couldn't find a way to like vocalize it. I couldn't find a way to ask for help because I didn't know what the hell was going on. Anyway, sorry guys. But yeah, it was like I didn't just lose touch with spirituality and the universe. I lost touch with myself. Like, and I think that those go hand in hand. Like, as you connect with yourself, you're going to naturally feel connected to the universe. So, you know, in essence, when I lost belief in everything that I was doing, I also lost belief in myself and all respect for myself. So it went hand in hand. So eventually I stopped smoking weed, thank fucking God. I was in a horrible addictive pattern with that, and it was really ruining my mental health. And because of that, I was able to start working on my trauma and doing some shadow work and trauma processing on my own. I wasn't going to therapy. Fun fact, I'm starting therapy tomorrow. Ooh, I'm very nervous, but I'm excited for that journey. Anyways, I started to do the shadow work, and I was like, oh shit, this is the missing key. Like, this is the thing that I needed to do this whole fucking time, is just fucking heal. Take some fucking time for myself and heal my trauma. And easier said than done. Like, it's a process. I couldn't know. Like, I didn't know that I was traumatized. So how was I supposed to address that stuff? But anyways, I got to the root of a lot of issues, and I looked it right in the face and I was like, damn, okay, you exist. I see that part of myself now. But I think that that's a part of spirituality that a lot of people overlook or dismiss as not as important, which I would argue it's the core of your spirituality, or maybe should be. Doing shadow work and processing your darker, heavier emotions is arguably the most beneficial thing when it comes to connecting with your intuition, connecting with your psychic gifts, connecting to the universe and the people around you. If you feel traumatized and if you don't have some way to process those feelings, you're only ever going to connect so much. It's like that saying of like, you can only ever meet people as far as you've met yourself, like that kind of shit. Like, it's true. It's really true. So do your shadow work, okay? So as I was doing all this healing, I didn't necessarily believe in anything. It was more so just that I was healing, and I wasn't putting pressure on myself to believe in one thing or another. And that thing that I don't want to talk about that I was struggling with, I was still struggling with it. And I really, it was still affecting me to the point where I didn't believe in the universe. I didn't really believe in a higher power or a source energy that would like assist me in creation and things like that. Like, I still had a lot of resentment. But eventually I started to do a few spells here and there, reconnecting with witchcraft. I set back up my altar because I had packed everything away, like everything spiritual, all my crystals, all my witchcraft supplies. During my dark night of the soul, I got rid of everything. I didn't get rid of it, I packed it away. But yeah, I brought it all back out. I started bringing my crystals out a little bit more, working with them, and I started to lean back into the parts of law of attraction that felt good and that weren't dismissive to my mental state, my mental health, and the things that I was struggling with. Because there's so much, and I think that it's just about like what people teach and preach when it comes to those things. I think law of attraction in its basic form doesn't really affect your mental health. But the way that humans want to rationalize it or like make a step-by-step process with it, that's where things start to get really toxic and weird. So I started to lean into my own set of beliefs within the law of attraction. And now I'm here. Now I'm here, and I am a witch. I do practice witchcraft. I don't fall into like paganism. I don't lean into Wicca. I think Wicca's disgusting. That's its own thing. I am not religious one bit. I just think that organized religion sucks and is very disruptive and destructive to society. I mean, I still believe in the law of attraction, the law of assumption, the laws of the universe, those things. I take them seriously, but I don't let it be the defining factor of like how I'm feeling day to day. I understand that I am traumatized, and that exists too. And most people who preach law of attraction shit, like the new age spiritualists, are not traumatized, or they do not benefit from talking about those parts of it. So they don't. I do believe in those things. I just approach it from a more psychological standpoint rather than a woo-woo standpoint. In my witchcraft, I do not worship any deities or gods or anything like that. I used to, in my spiritual psychosis, definitely did a lot of different deities, people that probably didn't want to ever hear from me. This little white girl. But anyways, yeah, I don't worship anything, and not that there's anything wrong with people who do. I think that that can be a beautiful relationship to cultivate. If I feel the random call to like leave an offering for a god or goddess or deity, then I will. Of course, I'm not going to ignore that. But for the most part, I just work with the spirits in my house and my spirit guides, my spirit team. In my work practice as a tarot and oracle reader, a psychic intuitive, I do welcome in other people's spirit guides and I work with them, but I don't, connect with other spirits like on a daily basis. It's not part of my practice. The only spirits that are consistent are my spirit guides. I am very loose in what I believe, and I'm sure that my beliefs will continue to change and progress as I live life and as I have different experiences. I do still believe in affirmations and, like, again, the law of attraction. I think that you can create the life that you desire, but you need to address the underlying issue of things before you start working on that, like, bigger, better, positive energy. I think a lot of people have a lot of toxic things to say and teach, and there are a lot of susceptible people, because that's the thing is, like, honestly, I'm gonna say it, law of attraction people, it's a cult. That is 100% a cult. People that follow Abraham Hicks, 100% a cult. It's a cult rhetoric, and the reason it works so well is because you're gonna be at this your most vulnerable and susceptible time in your life, or when you're shifting and changing in a really big way, and that's where you will find those things, and that's when you align with it, and that's why you get wrapped up in it so much, and you think that, for instance, Abraham Hicks cannot do anything wrong. Like, what they say is the truth. What they say is the reality of things. And if you don't follow it, then you're not going to be a good creator. If you don't align with that, that's okay. That's all right. And that's another thing. Like, I do not teach witchcraft on TikTok or as like part of my business. I do not teach those kinds of things because I don't feel the need to justify what I believe in anymore. 23-year-old, 25-year-old me, I would have fought you tooth and nail on like what I believe in, and I would have explained it to you in 10 different fucking ways until you believed me and understood what I was saying. Now, I don't give a shit. You believe what you want to believe. If you don't like what I have to say, then that's fine. I've worked really, really hard to get to a peaceful place within my belief system and my own reality, and my relationship with the universe. I'm not going to sabotage it by stooping down to a level of like justifying things for you. That's my spiritual journey, guys. So yeah, if you related, let me know. If you didn't, okay. I don't know. I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I always enjoy these story times. It has stopped raining and I'm a little bit upset now, but that's okay. Life goes on. I love you guys. I'll see you at the next one. Bye.